I died in the year my wife loved me most. She abandoned a fortune worth tens of millions without a second thought and died with me in the flames. In her final moments, she held my hand, sobbing so hard she could barely speak. I've waited far too long for you in this life. In the next life, you must find me sooner. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 5 years earlier. It was a midsummer evening. The dying sun outside was blood red. A stifling wind blew into the room. I woke from my dream and lay in bed, dazed. The alarm clock in the corner ticked away. A calendar lay quietly on the desk. I looked down at the new wedding ring on my ring finger. I closed my eyes. The raging fire before my death and the softness of her hand had felt so real. Was this a dream or reality? I pinched myself. Pain shot through my thigh. A car horn outside jolted my muddled thoughts awake. After the shock, an endless wave of heartache and bitterness engulfed me. A deliberately manufactured misunderstanding made me hate Liu Ruyan for years. During that time, her rivals used every trick to crush her, leaving her barely able to breathe. At home, I treated her with utter cold too. Liu Ruyan had lost her parents young and had no close family. She was left alone to run the company her parents had left behind for much of her life. Later, the misunderstanding was cleared up. We had nearly half a year of happiness and even had a child. Liu Ruyan treasured that child dearly. Just then, Annie Liu, the housekeeper, came in. Sir, the flowers have arrived. Are you leaving now? Annie Liu asked me. What flowers? My mind was still a mess. Weren't you going to see Miss Qiqi? Qiqi. The moment I heard that name, I froze. A loose thread suddenly emerged from the tangled mess in my head. So it was this day. Qiqi was my childhood sweetheart and a remarkably gifted actress. But after an accident, she suffered severe burns across her body. She needed long-term hospitalization. On this day in my previous life, I went to the hospital carrying a bouquet and spent Qiqi's birthday with her. When I left the hospital, I saw Liu Ruyan sitting in her car. Her face was heartbreakingly desolate, but I had no desire to explain myself or even to see her. Liu Ruyan spotted me, threw open the car door, and hurried after me. Bye. Today is my birthday. There was a faint note of hope in her voice. I stopped, then turned and looked at her coldly. So, Liu Ruyan gazed at me with clear eyes. Without saying a word, I said, today is Qiqi's birthday too. To marry me. You stopped at nothing. You ruined her face and destroyed her future. How else do you expect me to treat you? Liu Ruyan opened her mouth and said helplessly, it was just an accident. At that, I gave a cold snort. If you hadn't invited her that day, she wouldn't still be lying in a hospital bed. How am I supposed to believe it was an accident? Liu Ruyan fell silent for a while, then finally told me, I'm sorry. From that day on, my relationship with Liu Ruyan rapidly fell apart. We began a long, agonizing Cold War. Only later did I learn that the accident even Liu Ruyan believed in was merely a scheme by certain people to drive a wedge between us. I came back to myself, hurriedly put on my coat, and got into the car because I suddenly realized this was 5 years ago. There was still time to make things right. The driver merged into traffic. The road to the hospital is badly congested. Why not call Miss Mu? I watched the changing traffic lights outside, then changed my mind. We're not going to the hospital. We're going to the company. I barely remembered Liu Ruyan's company. I hated her when I was younger, so I had never gone there. That was why, standing beneath the office tower now, I felt rather lost. Which building was her office in? Passing pedestrians looked at me curiously. I was holding an enormous bouquet, dressed to the nines, like a college student about to confess his love. Awkwardly, I pulled out my phone and found Liu Ruyan's number. It was just her full name, not even marked as an emergency contact. I called her. I thought I would be waiting a long time, but she answered after only 2 rings. Her lovely, mature voice came through the phone. What is it? Hearing her voice again, my eyes suddenly stung. My voice caught despite myself. Liu Ruyan, where's your office? I can't find it. Liu Ruyan seemed to be in a meeting. She paused briefly, said, meeting adjourned, then told me, I'll come down right away. A few minutes later, Liu Ruyan emerged from the office tower. Her slender figure cast a long shadow in the sunlight. She was elegant and aloof, beautiful in a way that felt untouched by the ordinary. Why are you here? Liu Ruyan looked at me. I shoved the flowers into her arms and mumbled, happy birthday. Liu Ruyan said nothing. The silence stretched on. I secretly glanced at her and found her staring at the bouquet. She did not look happy. A bitter smile curved her lips. Bye. They're white, aren't they? What? I realized something was wrong. My gaze dropped to the bouquet and my heart sank. Oh no, I see blue roses. Their meaning was, I give you the stars and the sea. Stars and the sea were also Qiqi's favorite. My memories had been too muddled when I woke up. All I wanted was to find Liu Ruyan, and I had overlooked those details. Thank you for the birthday gift. Liu Ruyan's tone was almost stiff. It's getting late. Have the driver take you home. She turned to leave. I quickly grabbed her wrist. Wait. Liu Ruyan had not expected that and could not stop herself. She fell backward into my arms. Her soft body carried a faint, delicate fragrance. Liu Ruyan staggered upright and stared at my fingers. She was silent for a long time. I gritted my teeth and stubbornly said, Liu Ruyan, I'm not going home. Liu Ruyan looked pained. Mu Bai, how are you going to torment me this time? That was a hard question to answer. In my memories, Liu Ruyan and I had only been married a short time then. I was in the middle of a fight with her. Our arguments were almost entirely one-sided. I said whatever hurt her most. Even when I gave her gifts for holidays, I chose them specifically to wound her. Shamelessly, I followed behind her. Then let's order takeout. I'll get you a bowl of birthday noodles. Liu Ruyan said nothing. She did not even acknowledge me, yet she still held the bouquet tightly. As we passed a trash can, I thought she would toss it in without hesitation. But she didn't. I followed her into her office. A cold box meal lay abandoned on her desk. She had not touched it. An unexpected ache gripped my heart. I took out my phone and ordered her birthday noodles. Clear broth, light on salt, no scallions, tomato beef brisket on the side, plus a few vegetable dishes. Nothing spicy. Liu Ruyan used to accommodate me, ordering heavily seasoned food every time. Only later did I learn she had a sensitive stomach. She could not eat anything too spicy, greasy, or salty. After ordering, I sat on the couch, not knowing what to say. Nothing I could say seemed right. Liu Ruyan was unwrapping the flowers, planning to put them in a vase. The icy blue roses stung my eyes. Without thinking, I strode over and snatched them away, then threw them into the trash. She froze. She looked at the bead of blood pricked from her thumb and sighed wearily. Mu Bai, have you had enough? I swallowed the frustration in my chest, angry that she was like a helpless doll with no temper at all. Forget them. You don't like them, so I'll buy you something else. Liu Ruyan took out a tissue and pressed it to her wound. Her eyes lowered slightly, and she said helplessly, forget it. I ignored her, picked up the trash, and took it downstairs. Wait here. Then I hurried out. On a summer evening, the roadside was lined with flower vendors. Still, compared to bouquets from flower shops that cost hundreds or thousands, their quality was somewhat worse. I ran from stall to stall and bought every red rose they had. I bundled them with plain wrapping paper. Just then, the takeout arrived, loaded down with bags. I carried everything upstairs. The 19th floor was even more deserted than before. The few employees working had already left. Only a small light shone from Liu Ruyan's office. I softened my footsteps and pushed open the door. She stood with her back to me before the floor-to-ceiling windows. Her silhouette was lonely. She looked like a stray cat someone had abandoned. The heavy flowers and takeout bags struck the door with a loud thud. Liu Ruyan went rigid. She spun around sharply and saw me nearly crushed beneath the load. She clearly had not expected me to return. After a brief stunned pause, she hurried over and took the bouquet in both hands. I caught my breath. Sweat beaded on my forehead, but I still smiled. These are for you. I bought every rose on the street. On Liu Ruyan's lovely face, a flicker of confusion appeared. This was bad. The woman she was now did not seem able to adjust to the way I treated her. Did I really have to insult her? When I saw her planning to go back to that cold box meal, I let out a pained groan. Liu Ruyan immediately looked over. I caught the flash of concern in her eyes. I leaned back against the couch, raising my chin, and said impatiently, can't you eat something hot for once? It annoys me to watch you eat box meals for the next half hour. My complaints echoed through the office. Do you even know how to eat? Can't you see that huge piece of beef? You're not eating any vegetables? You're an adult and still a picky eater. Slurp the noodles. Did I buy them for you to stare at? After all my painstaking prodding, the steaming bowl of noodles was empty. Worried Liu Ruyan had not eaten enough. I had added to small steamed rolls, and even gave her the osmanthus cake I had brought for myself. If I have to nag like this every day, how am I supposed to survive? My mouth was dry from talking. When a glass of water appeared before me, I looked up to find Liu Ruyan watching me. Have some water before you keep scolding me. Her expression had softened considerably, though her eyes remained quiet and dim. At least their icy wariness was gone. Holding back the urge to embrace her, I said, Liu Ruyan, let's make a good life together from now on. At that, she looked away and silently cleared the dishes. She did not answer me directly. Get dressed. I'll have the driver take you home. But I just got here. I made it clear that I wanted to stay longer, but she swiftly pushed open the door and left, as if she were running from something. After all, taking out the trash was not something a company president needed to do. I would be lying if I said I was not disappointed. After being reborn, why did winning this woman over feel even harder? I sat on the couch, planning my next move. Should I just pin her down, or bare our hearts first, then pin her down? A phone ringing abruptly interrupted my thoughts. Distracted, I answered it. A familiar voice from long ago came through the line. Brother Mu, where are you? My once buoyant heart plunged straight to the bottom. I'd forgotten about her. Oh, it's you. My tone was far from warm. Mu Qiqi's voice was gentle. I've been waiting for you a long time. Didn't you say we'd celebrate my birthday together? As I remembered everything that happened in my past life, my fingers slowly clenched until my knuckles turned white. Mu Qiqi, we grew up together as friends, right? Mu Qiqi sensed my mood. We're family. I repeated those words, then suddenly asked, "Isn't there anything you want to tell me?" She was silent for a long time, then sighed. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have secretly eaten cake behind your back." My entire body went cold. I could not even force a smile. "I have things to do today, so I won't be coming. Happy birthday." After hanging up, I drew a deep breath. My chest felt tight. I remembered that before I was kidnapped, Qiqi had called me to ask where I was. I fell into deep thought. She was the person I trusted most. But what if, from the beginning, that explosion had been planned by someone I knew? When I looked up, Liu Ruyan was standing at the door. The side of her face was hidden in shadow, her expression unreadable. After hesitating for a long time, I asked, "You heard everything. Let's go." Her voice carried the calm of someone suppressing everything she felt. "The car is downstairs. In my past life, Liu Ruyan once told me that whenever I showed her the slightest kindness, she had to pay for it with even greater pain. So she never dared hope for anything. She was ready for me to leave at any time." Those words now stabbed into my heart like a knife, twisting it in agony. On this day in my past, while I was away, her dinner was a box of food gone completely cold. No one wished her a happy birthday. That was why she waited for me outside the hospital. Liu Ruyan only wanted to hear me wish her a happy birthday. Yet I told her to mind her own business and stay as far away from me as possible. The belated truth crushed the breath from my lungs. She looked away and said, "I'm sorry." I spoke out of turn. "It's getting dark. If you're going to the hospital, hurry up." I suddenly grabbed Liu Ruyan's hand and forcefully laced my fingers through hers. Her whole body went rigid, but she did not pull away. Instead, she asked in a hoarse voice, "Mubai, what are you doing? Haven't you humiliated me enough?" I pulled her slender waist tightly against me and said firmly, "Wife, don't move." Those simple words were like a seal, holding her completely captive. I lowered my head and kissed Liu Ruyan's cold lips. With an arm around her waist, I pressed her against the wall, gently soothing her. From initial stiffness to shock, and finally surrender, she helplessly closed her eyes. Her pristine dress became a crumpled mess. Without realizing it, she reached out until she greedily clutched my back. We held each other tightly. The light overhead came on, then went out. Since my rebirth, too much information had become a tangled mess in my mind. The man who kidnapped me had once crossed paths with Liu Ruyan. He was the owner of a company that had gone bankrupt. The accident Qiqi suffered back then was my second uncle's scheme to drive a wedge between Liu Ruyan and me. These were all things I learned in the final year of my past life. My whereabouts had always been carefully protected, yet I was still kidnapped. How had they found out? There was only one possibility: the call Qiqi had made to me. Even in my final moments before death, Liu Ruyan had thanked Qiqi. Without her, I never would have found you. When you're in the middle of it, you cannot see clearly. But looking back now, what role had Qiqi, the childhood friend I trusted most, really played in all of this? Exhausted and sleepless after last night, I woke the next morning feeling foggy. I went back to sleep and did not wake until afternoon. Liu Ruyan must have thought I might wake up hungry. Lunch was neatly arranged on the table. The house was impeccably clean, with everything in perfect order. After washing up, I ate breakfast and went to Liu Ruyan's study. A video conference was open on her computer. The setting sun slanted low, casting a soft glow through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It fell across Liu Ruyan's breathtakingly cold beauty, softening the aloof chill she had been born with. My heart trembled. The more I looked at her, the more beautiful she became. Liu Ruyan had always been perceptive. She looked up almost the moment I opened the door. When she saw what I was wearing, she suddenly froze. Feeling awkward, I gave a soft cough. I sat across from Liu Ruyan and checked my phone. Qiqi had called me 5 times and sent over a dozen messages. They had all been sent last night. By then, I must already have been barely conscious. But the ringing had not woken me. Could it have been? Thoughtfully, I stared at Liu Ruyan. Her gaze remained focused, as though she had not noticed me at all. "Keep pretending, then." I crossed my legs and kept swinging them at the edge of her vision. Liu Ruyan suddenly stumbled over her words. After a brief pause, "We'll end here for today." With that, she ended the meeting. She leaned lightly into her executive chair, her delicate brows faintly furrowed. "Mubai. Oh, last night, you were calling me Brother Mu. Now it's just Mubai? It's a little cold." Smiling, I draped a coat over her shoulders. "President Liu, did my phone ring last night?" Liu Ruyan calmly lowered her gaze. "I'm not sure. Is that so?" I leaned across the desk and lifted her chin. No matter how well she hid it, to me, she was still just a young woman. "Mubai, this is work hours," she reminded me with a perfectly serious expression. If not for her slightly uneven breathing, I might have believed she had no desires at all. I gently kissed her. "Want another?" She was silent for a moment, then frankly said yes. I kissed her once more. "I'll wait next door until you're you're off work. Then we'll go home together. After returning to the room, I received another call from Qiqi. Brother Mu, I've left the hospital. On the other end, her voice was hoarse, thick with congestion, as if she had not slept all night. I was taken aback. Why did you leave the hospital? Are you giving up treatment? Her voice was despondent. If my face can never be repaired, then I choose to give up. I want a quiet life with you. I frowned, my voice turning cold. There hasn't been any chance for us in a long time, and I'm married. Then, what am I supposed to do? Qiqi said, what did you take our promise for? Is it because my face is ruined that you no longer like me? I started to speak, then stopped. You were the one who said only by breaking up could the company promote you, so you could go further. Qiqi still would not give up. Her voice softened. But Brother Mu, you promised you would wait for me. How long was I supposed to wait? I sighed. You had countless chances, yet you kept making me wait. My second uncle will stop at nothing to get what he wants. After I was born, my parents left me with the Mu family, and each moved overseas, starting new families. I was merely a pawn of the Mu family, while Qiqi was winning acclaim on the big screen. My second uncle had already driven me into a corner. That night, I called her over and over until morning, but she never answered. The next day, I watched her first on-screen kiss, and utterly disheartened, accepted my second uncle's offer. Then Qiqi asked me over the phone, have you fallen for Liu Ruyan? Without hesitation. Yes. Over the following days, Qiqi never contacted me again. I thought about many things. To catch the killer who harmed me in my past life, I needed Liu Ruyan's help. First, I had to make her accept that I had been reborn. Before, she had me locked in a psychiatric hospital, propping myself on one arm. I leaned before Liu Ruyan and spoke with animated enthusiasm. This was already the third Rebirth novel I'd read to her this month. Liu Ruyan listened intently. If you like it, I can invest in adapting it into a television series. It isn't about whether I like it. The point is whether you like it. She looked at the shirt I had wrinkled from wearing it, then sighed. Whatever you like, I'll like it too. Lately, Liu Ruyan and I had been getting along much better. She indulged me greatly, almost granting my every wish. Yet it still felt as though something stood between us. Liu Ruyan. I pulled over a chair and sat in front of her, my expression solemn. I think it's time I told you. She put down her chopsticks and settled in to listen. With a grave expression, I began. Actually, I was reborn too. A long silence followed. Liu Ruyan raised an eyebrow slightly, her lips pressed tightly together. She was trying not to laugh. I pointed at her. I knew you wouldn't believe me. The corners of her lips curled up, but she forcibly suppressed the smile and said, I believe you. I decided to go all in and told her everything that had happened in my past life. At first, she watched as if I were a child telling a story, thinking this was some new trick of mine. Gradually, her delicate brows drew tightly together. The man who stabbed me was named Fang. He was probably an employee at your company. Later, he left to start his own business. Of course, this is 5 years earlier now, so I don't know where he is. And my second uncle was involved too. Lastly, watch out for the locks. Before I could finish, a shrill ringtone cut me off. Liu Ruyan and I both saw the name on my phone screen, Little Qiqi. Because of my oversight, I had not changed Qiqi's contact name to her full name. Liu Ruyan's expression closed off, returning to her usual aloofness. She stood and picked up her plate. I'll wash the dishes. That feeling returned. Was she deliberately avoiding me, or was she afraid? I gritted my teeth, grabbed my phone, and followed her into the kitchen. Her back was to the door. As she turned on the faucet, I switched on the speakerphone. Qiqi's familiar voice came through the speaker. Brother Mu, maybe this is the last time I'll call you. Beneath her voice, I could hear wind howling. I tensed immediately. Her voice was very soft. I'm on the rooftop of our high school's classroom building. Brother Mu, do you remember the day my parents left me? You said no one in the Mu family truly cared for you either. You said we could be family from then on. When I was 18, I wanted to jump from that rooftop. You were the one who stopped me. Her voice was soft, tinged with regret. Now you don't want me anymore. I don't see any reason to keep living. Qiqi, don't do anything reckless. My head buzzed. I turned, grabbed my clothes, and threw them on. Wait for me. I'll be right there. After hanging up, I turned around and found Liu Ruyan still facing away from me, standing by the sink. She seemed not to have heard a thing. Only the water kept rushing. I panicked and rushed in. Hey, have you lost your mind? Why aren't you getting changed? I yanked her so hard she stumbled. Her lovely eyes stared at me in astonishment. Get changed? How inappropriate would it be for me to go alone? I'm married. I impatiently pulled out my phone. I'm calling the police. Qiqi has lost it. The students are still in evening classes. What if she jumps in front of them? I'm ready. Liu Ruyan was already standing neatly dressed at the door. I froze. That was fast. The police had already arrived at the scene. They told me not to contact Qiqi again. As long as that sliver of hope held her, she would not do anything dangerous for the moment. Meanwhile, that time, would let them evacuate the students? We arrived at the scene quickly. The wind on the rooftop was fierce. The campus was deathly silent. The police stood 5 meters away from Qiqi, afraid to approach. A police officer pulled me onto the rooftop. Mr. Mu, she insists on seeing you. Stall her for a little while. Rescue personnel are on their way. I glanced at Liu Ruyan. She was held outside the police line and nodded at me. I took a deep breath, climbed the steps, and called, Mu Qiqi. The figure sitting at the rooftop's edge stirred. She turned, revealing the burned side of her face. Brother Mu, you came. Looking at her, I felt dazed. It seemed I had not seen her in a long time. After Liu Ruyan and I cleared up our misunderstanding in my past life, we visited her several times. Mu Qiqi had been deeply resistant. Perhaps when someone you've hated for years suddenly turns out not to be the culprit, it's hard to let go of that hatred. Later, Liu Ruyan was attacked from all sides, and the situation grew tense. So I stayed home, too afraid to go out. Between this life and the last, we had not seen each other for over a year. Mu Qiqi, come down first, okay? Mu Qiqi ignored me. She only stared at me. I'm sorry. Her gaze shifted to Liu Ruyan, waiting beyond the crowd, as she said, you were right. I was too extreme. You told me before you got married that we could only be family from then on. I was too greedy. I remembered those years when Mu Qiqi and I relied on each other to survive. When thugs bullied her, I protected her. And when my second uncle threw me out, she brought me an umbrella through the pouring rain that very night and took me home with her. For a moment, I wavered. Was she truly the killer who got me killed? Mu Qiqi smiled. You promised to spend every birthday with me. Sing me a birthday song, and I'll come down. Okay, I'll sing. The wind gradually died down. The notes of happy birthday drifted through the rooftop night. But as I sang, I found myself thinking that I had not sung to Liu Ruyan on her birthday. I would make it up to her when we got home. When the song ended, Mu Qiqi rose from the rooftop ledge and faced me. Thank you. I haven't heard you sing in years. It was lovely. I have one more question. Her voice was quiet. Do you still love me? After a long silence, I said, you're my family. Mu Qiqi's dark eyes turned toward the crowd, as if meeting Liu Ruyan's gaze. It's a little cold up here. I said, let's go home, okay? Mu Qiqi looked away, then smiled faintly at me. Brother Mu, I love you. With that, she spread her arms and fell backward into the endless night. At that moment, time seemed to stop. My blood froze solid. The next second, I lunged for the ledge, but caught nothing. I stared blankly at the black ground below. My mind was completely blank. I seemed to hear a dull thud. My legs gave out, and I fell to my knees. Mu Qiqi had died just like that. Had I wronged her? People are more perceptive than we think. We had known each other for years. Mu Qiqi sensed me pulling away from her, so she chose to end her life. Did that mean I had driven her to death? My whole body was ice cold. I sat there in a daze, unable to stop shaking. Then warm hands wrapped around my waist from behind. That familiar scent felt like a lifeline. Holding me, she said, she's not dead. The police caught her on an air cushion below. I kept my eyes closed for a long time, before I slowly came to my senses. Liu Ruyan said with difficulty, just some scrapes. She's been taken to the hospital. If you want to go, I can take you. No. My voice was hoarse. I want to stay with you. Liu Ruyan and I returned to the car. Outside, the police left in waves. Soon, someone would take us to the hospital. Mu Qiqi had no family. Exhausted, I told Liu Ruyan. Before we came, there was one last thing I did not tell you. I suspect Mu Qiqi was involved in what happened in our past life. Liu Ruyan drew a deep breath. What if she wasn't? If she's innocent, would you choose her or me? Only when she asked that did I truly breathe a sigh of relief. All this time, Liu Ruyan had always assumed she would never be the one chosen. I looked seriously at Liu Ruyan. Of course I would choose you. Do you remember when Mu Qiqi first became an actress? We had already broken up by then. She began acting and became more famous. By the time I married you, we had been apart for more than a year. I admit, I hated you at first, just as I hated my second uncle. I hated people who entered my life without permission. And at that time, Mu Qiqi was on her way to dinner with investors when she had a car accident, and you were the driver. So I saw you as someone like my second uncle, equally ruthless and cruel. I didn't hate you because I loved Mu Qiqi. I just couldn't stand people who would ruin someone's future at the slightest disagreement. Liu Ruyan gently clasped my hand. I'm sorry. It really was my fault. I didn't think it through. No. I kissed her forehead. I told you, it was my second uncle's fault. You did nothing wrong. If anyone dares insult you, I'll go argue with them for you. She fell silent for a moment, then said, thank you. For the first time, someone had defended me, flaws and all, and I was the one they defended. Hearing that, I felt guilty again. Liu Ruyan looked at me earnestly. Can you tell me when you started falling for me? The night was dark, yet I could see hope in her eyes. I slowly began. One time, you came home drunk and ruined the scarf I'd wear upon for our puppy. In the middle of the night, You sat cross-legged on the floor, trying to knit it a new scarf. I told you to go to sleep, but you said the puppy would be cold without its scarf in winter. So I thought, someone who worried whether a puppy was cold might not be cruel enough to hurt others. There was something else, but I didn't tell her. Liu Ruyan talked in her sleep that night. She said, Brother Mu, I'm cold too. I happened to hear it when I got up for water that night. I heard her. My heart softened. I thought she was pitiful too. All alone, with no one to love her. Liu Ruyan listened with great interest. Will we have a puppy? Yes. On my birthday 3 years later. You gave me one. You said you were too busy, always away from home, so it could keep me company. Grinning, I counted on my fingers. Come to think of it, it must still be some family's old dog right now. Not yet reborn. Our puppy was incredibly smart. It learned everything right away. I even wondered if it had skipped the potion of forgetfulness. Then I abruptly stopped. Liu Ruyan froze. What is it? I blankly grabbed her hand and said, Qiqi was reborn too. Like me. Like you how? My brow furrowed tighter and tighter. Just before Qiqi jumped, she told me she hadn't heard me sing happy birthday in years, but I sang it to her just last year. Liu Ruyan narrowed her eyes. She understood at once. Half an hour after we reached the hospital, the doctor told us someone had taken Qiqi away. When we asked further, they cited patient confidentiality and refused to tell us anything. Given this, it was hard to believe Qiqi had nothing to do with it. On the way home, one question kept circling in my mind. Do you think she jumped on purpose? Liu Ruyan's gaze drifted. Usually, when the building isn't high, the police set up an air cushion. If it were me, I'd only jump if I was 100% sure I would survive. Thoughtfully, I studied her profile. Then what do you think she was trying to do? She gave a soft huff. Win your sympathy, so you would take her side. That's all. In either of her lives, this was Liu Ruyan's first time saying something so jealous to me. I pressed my lips together and nodded solemnly. You really know your stuff, she said flatly. Women understand women best. I watched the scenery rush past the window, lost in thought. If I warned Liu Ruyan 5 years ahead whom to watch out for, things should not get any worse. I remembered her rushing into the fire without hesitation in my past life, and holding me in her arms. My heart began to ache again. We spent hours going back and forth, and by the time we got home, it was late. Annie Liu had gone home. The living room lights were off. Just as Liu Ruyan reached for the switch, I suddenly lunged at her, pushing her down onto the sofa. Liu Ruyan's clothes fell into disarray. In a husky voice, she said, What do you want? I leaned close to her ear and whispered, Liu Ruyan, I love you. Her breathing instantly turned ragged. Who knew those words could hit her so hard? Enough to leave her completely flustered. I grinned, so I softened my voice. Honey, I love you. The next instant, Liu Ruyan kissed me. Her unprecedented passion pinned me in the corner. I had no choice but to accept her love. Her hands traced my cheek like I was a treasure, caressing me obsessively. I smiled and asked, Have you picked a nickname for the baby? Overcome with emotion, Liu Ruyan held me and said, Brother Mu, I'm yours. After my shower, my eyelids grew heavy. While I held her, my hands wandered everywhere, taking every liberty. She was like a gentle kitten, as if she would never lose her temper. Brother Mu, I'm so sleepy. Her voice was soft and drowsy. You promised to see a movie with me, but the next day, you said your stomach hurt and went to the hospital. Did you go see her? To me, that was a long time ago. I thought back. It seemed unrelated to Qiqi. I really had gone to the hospital for an intravenous drip, but something in Liu Ruyan's tone felt wrong. My drowsiness instantly vanished. I sat up. After a brief look of surprise, Liu Ruyan said, I'm sorry. Don't apologize yet. I'm not angry. I sat up cross-legged. I'm just curious. Why did you think I went to see Qiqi? With Liu Ruyan's abilities, she could easily track my whereabouts. She would naturally know I was barely alive in the hospital on an intravenous drip, but she hadn't checked. After a brief silence, Liu Ruyan honestly confessed, I can see Qiqi's social media post. Our eyes met. We both saw confusion in the other's eyes. Liu Ruyan took out her phone and handed it to me. I eagerly opened Qiqi's profile. The moment I saw her post, my head buzzed. August 9th. Brother Mu said he'd celebrate my birthday with me today. Thank you, my love. August 1st. I had a meal Brother Mu made himself. It tasted just like before. I frantically scrolled back until I found a post from 6 months earlier. The movie is out, waiting for Brother Mu. It was the very day I had gastroenteritis. But when I opened my phone, Qiqi's feed was completely empty. Those posts had only been visible to Liu Ruyan. But in truth, since we got married, I rarely had any contact with Qiqi. At most, the hospital would call about payment, or the doctor needed to adjust her treatment plan. Only then would I contact her. I truly treated her as an old friend. Yet behind my back, she hurt my loved one again and again. My head throbbed with anger. And you believed it. There isn't even a photo of me there. Liu Ruyan lowered her gaze to my phone's empty social media feed. Something slowly brightened in her eyes. Brother Mu. I was too afraid to doubt it. She opened and closed it repeatedly, as though confirming something. Or perhaps it was an unconscious reaction to seeing light at last. I was afraid that if I investigated, I'd learn you and her had really been sitting in that theater. If that were true, I'd rather not know. I was furious and heartbroken. Why didn't you ask me? I stopped halfway through. She had been too afraid to ask. Back then, I lashed out at her over the smallest things. The answers she received probably would not have been better than what Liu Ruyan imagined. I was wrong. I pulled my wrong little wife into my arms, my eyes stinging. I'm sorry. I'll never lose my temper with you again. She gave a quiet laugh. I'll never be angry with you. Just don't ever say you don't want me again. That night, the last barrier between us disappeared. I suspected Liu Ruyan had a bit of a masochistic streak. If she went a day without being scolded, she felt restless all over. One morning in early autumn, I blew up again. Liu Ruyan, are you trying to work yourself to death so I can give you an award for dedication? Over the phone, Liu Ruyan's sultry voice was thick with hoarseness, with a slight nasal tone. She laughed and said, I'm holding up. Later that night, she came down with a high fever, her whole body burning. I called the family doctor, who prescribed fever medicine. I half coaxed and half forced her to take it, then used a small basin to sponge her down. Near dawn, her fever broke. I wrote Annie Liu a list of light meals for Liu Ruyan to eat when she woke up. But when I woke up, it was already 10. She had long since gone to work. Perhaps because of my past life's drama, I became especially vigilant about her safety. After a quick breakfast, I took the porridge Annie Liu had made and hurried to her company. The moment her secretary saw me, she nervously stood up. President Liu is in her office. She can't receive visitors. That's fine. I'll wait. With that, I sat on the sofa outside and used my phone. Before long, I heard Liu Ruyan speaking to someone. Her tone was colder and sharper than ever. I gave you a chance. You failed to take it. President Liu, you clearly set me up to make a mistake. Liu Ruyan gave a soft laugh. So what? You're being unreasonable. I'm a businesswoman. I only care about profit, and I never waste time being reasonable. I listened intently, chin in hand, but the secretary looked terrified. The door suddenly flew open. A furious middle-aged man stormed out. As he left, his eyes briefly met mine. I froze. Boss Fang was the man who stabbed me in my past life. Had Liu Ruyan already begun making her move? She truly was a woman of action. The secretary was sweating profusely. She raised her voice. President Liu, your husband is here. Coming back to myself, I picked up the food container and went in. Liu Ruyan sat by the window, her white shirt immaculate. She smiled at me tenderly. I'll come home at noon. I set the lunchbox on her desk and sat across from her. That man just now was the one I told you about. The man who stabbed me. A layer of ice filled Liu Ruyan's beautiful eyes. Leave him to me. Then she lowered her head and ate. The timing was perfect. The porridge was still warm. She truly had impeccable manners. Even watching her eat was a pleasure. Across my past life and this one, we had been entangled for so many years. Yet only recently had we felt like new lovers. Time flew by. In a blink, late autumn arrived. Qiqi seemed to have vanished from my life. Her phone number had been canceled, cutting off every way to contact her. Sometimes, seeing high school students leaving school still made me think of the past. My instincts told me this would not end so simply. Liu Ruyan became very busy, leaving early and coming home late. Sometimes I thought of my past life. She had been the same then, with endless work to do. Sir, it's 10 o'clock. You should get some sleep. I sat cross-legged on the carpet, surrounded by the things I had just bought. I'll wait a little longer. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen Liu Ruyan in a whole week. Tonight, I suddenly wanted to wait for her. The weather was getting colder. I went to the mall and bought Liu Ruyan a winter outfit, a camel-colored plaid scarf, a wool coat, and the kind she liked, fluffy, slightly childish matching gloves. As I put them in the closet, I suddenly heard a phone vibrating inside the coat. I pulled it out and looked. There was an email. I took a photo and messaged her, my tone deliberately teasing. Honey, how come you have a phone I don't know about? Used to my occasional ridiculous jokes, she replied. It's for work. I forgot to take it. Open it and see what's there for me. Smiling, I opened the email. It had better not be a love letter from someone else, or I'll make a scene. The screen changed. It was a medical report. Squinting, I zoomed in to read it. Mu Chenghui, skull fracture and intracranial hemorrhage. He must have been struck by something. Below it was a death report, a workplace accident. How tragic. After hearing that, Liu Ruyan said, put the phone back. I'll be home later. I kept her dinner warm in the kitchen. I slipped the phone back. Then I pulled out wrapping paper and planned to wrap the new clothes as a gift to surprise her. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Chen Fei. Bro, when are you going to partner with me and open a studio? I replied, I need to spend time with Ruyan lately. Let's wait a little longer. Chen Fei joked, you used to be terribly annoyed by her. So, Why have you become so clingy lately? I replied, I was blind before. Is that a problem? Chen Fei said helplessly. Fine. Fine. Do you know how many people love your designs? Come back to the industry already, boss. I hesitated. Let's wait a little longer. Chen Fei laughed. Ooh. Look at you. Just stay with your little Ryan, then. I admitted that I did want to spend more time with her. If starting over changed nothing, we would still end up walking toward death. Then every day together meant one less day we had left. Liu Ruyan came home right on time. Only a small light had been left on for her in the living room. The clay pot was still warm. She leaped into my arms like a cat. I helplessly lifted her up. Hold on tight. Don't fall. Come to the bedroom. I have a gift for you. In the middle of the bedroom stood a huge gift box wrapped terribly crooked. This is your belated birthday gift. Open it and see. Liu Ruyan lowered her eyes. Surprise flickered in them. Brother Mu, thank you. She rested her hand on the gift box and hesitated for a long time. There's something I want to discuss with you. She hesitated, wanting to speak, but holding back. At last, she said, we may need to be apart for a while. I stood stunned for several seconds. Struggle flashed through Liu Ruyan's eyes. You need to help me put on an act. Mu Chenghui was Mu Qiqi's father. The email you saw just now said that her father died in an accident at a construction site. That construction project was a joint project between your uncle and my father many years ago. I suddenly remembered the day I went to the rooftop to find Mu Qiqi. Despair had been written all over Mu Qiqi's face. My family is dead. I don't have a family anymore. Shocked by what had happened to her family, I carefully moved closer and offered her a popsicle. I don't have a family either. What do you think of me? Look, these bruises are from when they locked me in the bathroom and beat me. My uncle only knows how to yell at me for causing trouble. He never takes care of me. Mu Qiqi lowered her head and looked at my bruised arm. She took the popsicle and jumped down from the rooftop ledge. What's your uncle's name? Mu Mingyuan. Mu Qiqi slowly raised her eyes. Mu Mingyuan of Mu Group. When I nodded, she looked at me with unprecedented seriousness and said, don't worry. From now on, we're family. I was lost in the memory. Only years later did I finally understand what that look meant. Maybe until the moment she learned my uncle's name. Mu Qiqi truly had wanted to treat me as family. But after learning about my connection to the Mu family and realizing I could give her an opening for revenge, I realized that her first promise had been woven from lies. Liu Ruyan said, Brother Mu, I can tell that Mu Qiqi likes you. You said someone caused your death in your past life, and Mu Qiqi played a part in it. Perhaps it was because you chose me. I don't dare keep you tied to me. So as long as you leave me, I'll bear every danger ahead on my own. I slowly shook my head. If I can't even protect my own wife, what kind of man am I? I can play along with you. Several weeks later, the media broke the story. Famous entrepreneur Liu Ruyan was rumored to have divorced her husband. That same day, photos of me moving out of the villa were posted online. Bro, Chen Fei watched me carry bag after bag into his apartment. He was overjoyed. Rich man, you finally realized you should build a career with me. 3 days later, I received a call from my uncle. Mu Bai, come home tomorrow night. Holding the phone, I said with a smile, Uncle, what made you think of me all of a sudden? Didn't you get divorced? Your family can't just watch you suffer out there. We'll use the party to help you find someone new. You certainly get your news quickly. Just tell me if you're coming. I'll be there on time. After hanging up, Chen Fei looked at me worriedly. Didn't you cut ties with your parents long ago? What does their family's business have to do with you? I'm not getting involved, but someone is always plotting against me. That evening, dressed in a sharp suit, I walked through the Mu family's gates. Glasses clinked throughout the banquet hall. The moment I entered, every eye turned toward me. People began whispering, that's the Mu family's young master, isn't it? Why not have your daughter give it a try? If she marries into the Mu family, she could skip over a decade of hard work. I made my way through the crowd when I suddenly heard a familiar voice. It's been a long time. I looked toward the voice. Liu Ruyan stood among the crowd, holding a wine glass. She had always been dazzling. After hearing about her divorce, countless businessmen flocked to her. They surrounded her from every side. Liu Ruyan cast me a cold glance, then looked away. To keep up the act with her, I didn't go over to her. Instead, I pushed open the terrace doors to get some fresh air, but someone was already on the terrace. Someone I knew. Mu Qiqi was leaning against the railing. Her burned face was hidden in the shadows, leaving only half of her beautiful face visible. Brother Mu, long time no see. I stopped in my tracks. Long time no see. She gave a soft laugh. Why are you being so distant? I tried to ease my nerves and took a deep breath. Why would you think that? I haven't even asked you yet. Where have you been? You blocked my number, didn't you? You've gotten quite bold, as I used to. I jokingly patted her shoulder. Suddenly, someone blocked the light outside the door. I glanced over from the corner of my eye and saw Liu Ruyan casually leaning beside the window. She watched us impassively. Mu Qiqi replied, I had surgery. She leaned slightly toward me. The dim light illuminated her face. Most of the skin that had been burned was already restored. Look closely. Do I look just like I did before? I stared at her blankly. After a long pause, I said. You do. So I took a step back and put some distance between us. I'm happy for you. I really am. The door suddenly flew open. My uncle led a group of guests over. Let me introduce everyone. This is my nephew, Mu Bai. And this is Mu Qiqi, the actress our company just signed. The two of them have known each other since childhood. The purpose of this party is actually to help these two young people settle down together. The guests showered us with congratulations and surrounded Mu Qiqi and me completely. I frowned. Uncle, I don't want to. Before I could finish, Mu Qiqi suddenly linked her arm through mine and said with a smile, "Don't worry, uncle. I'll take good care of brother Mu from now on." I froze for a moment when I realized how strong her grip was. She clung to me like a stubborn octopus. Fortunately, after half a minute, she let go. She chatted effortlessly with the guest. My feelings were complicated. When Mu Qiqi finished chatting, I asked, "When did you get involved with my uncle?" Mu Qiqi calmly smoothed her hair. "Only with the Mu family's approval. Can I marry you? I had other plans originally, but your divorce saved me a great deal of trouble." I looked at her face and found her frighteningly unfamiliar. Mu Qiqi smiled. "What? Don't you recognize me anymore? Do you feel that I'm different from the Mu Qiqi in your heart?" I used to think Mu Qiqi's smile was bright and sunny, and that we belonged to the same world. But now, it seemed I had been wrong. She advanced step by step, forcing me back with every step. At last, my back pressed against the glass door. "Brother Mu, this is who I've always been." The smile she forced looked grotesque in the dim light. "But I love you. You wouldn't want to end up like you did in your past life. Die with Liu Ruyan again, like you did in your past life, would you?" I clenched my teeth. My hand reached behind me and gently pressed down on the doorknob. A light, melodious violin tune drifted in. "This time, I won't let you get your way." It wasn't until I returned to the crowd that I realized I was drenched in cold sweat. I had barely opened the door when a soft, delicate body pounced on me and knocked me onto the bed. A familiar fragrance washed over me. Liu Ruyan's soft, mature voice filled my ears with a faint trace of alcohol. "Where did she touch you?" A heated kiss landed on my shoulder. After a long, lingering kiss, I asked softly, "Are you jealous?" "I'm green with envy." Liu Ruyan replied sullenly, "No one else is allowed to touch you. No one." I stroked her hair. "Mu Qiqi has joined forces with my uncle. She may have even figured out my situation and prepared for your plans. Are you sure you can handle this?" "Brother Mu, if the Mu family suffers a devastating blow because of this, what will you do?" So that was what she was worried about. I took Liu Ruyan's hand. My parents' marriage was arranged for business. They hated each other. The year one was born, they abandoned me with my uncle and moved overseas separately. My uncle treated me as a tool for the family to win over powerful allies. If it weren't for you, I might already have met a violent death. So don't hold back because of me. If the Mu family truly collapses, it's because my uncle committed those evil deeds. He'll have gotten what he deserved. Over the next few months, I returned to a normal life. After all, ever since I became an adult, I hadn't taken a penny from the Mu family. I had supported myself through work and study. I had also made real progress in design. Aside from my uncle forcing me home for dates with Mu Qiqi, life was fairly peaceful. Qin Fei was extremely unhappy about it. "You cut ties with them. Why do you still obey everything they say?" I didn't explain. Mu Qiqi knew my situation. As long as I refused to do what she wanted, she would urge my uncle to sabotage Liu Ruyan. Until Liu Ruyan brought the two of them down, I had to keep them under control. Qin Fei liked watching television. Lately, Liu Ruyan often appeared on the financial news. Every time he saw her, he cursed her. "Mu Bai, you have to bring your second wife to meet me," holding the remote, as if he had Parkinson's disease, and pointed at Liu Ruyan's face, his voice breaking. "A woman like that is obviously no good. If I ever let you marry a woman like that again, I'll eat shit upside down." I looked up from the pile of design drafts and said awkwardly, "Bro, don't say things like that. You should leave yourself a way out. I have to sneak around just to see Liu Ruyan now." A heavy snow had just fallen in midwinter. I was wearing a thick sweater and emerged from the hallway with a garbage bag in hand. Liu Ruyan's car was parked downstairs. It was bitterly cold, yet she stood outside the car waiting for me. She wore the wool coat I had bought her and the scarf I had given her. "Come here." I waved. She came bounding over and happily threw herself into my arms. I quickly coaxed her. "It's cold out here. Let's get in the car." The headlights went out. Darkness swallowed our surroundings. Only a street lamp nearby remained, casting a patch of light across the pure white snow. Wrapped in a thick down jacket, I fumbled around for a while before pulling a lollipop from my pocket. "This is for you." Liu Ruyan accepted my gift with a smile. "I already have plenty. You don't like it." I reached for it, but she snatched it away before I could. "Thank you. I love it." We didn't really have any shared interests, yet we always had endless things to talk about. I smiled and leaned against her. "My friend said, if I ever married someone like you again, he would." The words were too vulgar for me to repeat, so I glossed over them. Basically, something disgusting would happen. I sighed. I could already imagine Chen Fei learning the truth and beating me senseless. Liu Ruyan laughed aloud and took my hand. Why don't you find someone else? I shot her a glance. What are you talking about? She lowered her eyes and silently held my hand. Her fingers were long and perfectly shaped, though a little cold. I didn't know what had been happening lately. I kept having nightmares. Every time I dreamed Liu Ruyan told me to live well on my own. Liu Ruyan suddenly said, Brother Mu, I mean, if one day I suddenly had to leave you. Before she could finish, I cut her off. We won't separate. I kissed her hair and sighed. We'll never part. Early the next morning, Chen Fei and I jumped into a taxi on our way to the studio. Qiqi called just then. Brother Mu, where are you? Only then did I remember I was supposed to go on a date with her today. I'm sorry. Something urgent came up. Qiqi asked, where are you? Send me the address. Chen Fei knew I didn't like her. He snatched the phone and switched it off. The taxi radio was broadcasting the news. We listened for a while, then fell silent. Something had happened to the Mu family. The news concerned a serious construction site accident from years ago. Chen Fei looked at me worriedly. I shook my head. I'm fine. I hadn't expected Liu Ruyan to act so quickly, remembering how my uncle had been the mastermind in my past life, urging Mr. Fang to cause that explosion. I felt some of the tension in my heart finally ease. This had happened 10 years earlier this time. Liu Ruyan's company was at the height of its success. My uncle's empire hadn't yet grown to a terrifying scale either. That tragedy shouldn't happen again. There wasn't much traffic today. The driver was steady behind the wheel. When we were halfway there, a car suddenly slammed into us. I blacked out instantly. Then a voice came from far away. Mubai, open your damn eyes. The shrill scrape of metal roused me from unconsciousness. My limbs felt unbearably heavy. I slowly opened my eyes. Before me were concrete pipes and Chen Fei slumped against one of them. The wind carried the pungent smell of industrial oil and dusty earth. I climbed groggily to my feet. Chen Fei kicked uselessly at the ground. Thank God, you're finally awake. Hurry and untie me. I hurried over and crouched beside him, seeing the coarse hemp rope binding him. Familiar memories came flooding back. I jerked my head up and scanned the surroundings. Cold sweat instantly streamed down my face. Wasn't this the abandoned factory where I had met my violent end in my past life? The rope was tied with a dead knot. That couldn't be untied. Chen Fei could only curse as he rubbed the rope against the concrete. How dare they kidnap me? They must have a death wish. The rope still hadn't snapped after a long time. Exhausted, he slumped against a stone slab. They tied me up, but not you. That means I'm the target. While no one's here, run. Find someone and call the police. I gave a bitter smile. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I dragged you into this. What do you mean? Before he could finish speaking, Qiqi's voice suddenly came from behind me. Your friend is certainly loud. Chen Fei craned his neck to look. I quickly covered his eyes and turned to stare at Qiqi. He knows nothing. Chen Fei couldn't hold back any longer. I told you perfectly clearly. My surname is Yu. I'm a member of the Yu family. How dare you tie me up? My father will make you pay dearly. After hearing this, Qiqi's expression darkened. I said, you heard him. There's no need to drag the Yu family into our affairs. Chen Fei's father is a government official, and his older brother was a police officer. If anything happened to him, none of us would survive. Qiqi tossed me a utility knife. I hurriedly picked it up and cut through the rope. Don't look at anything. Go home and stay there. With that, he rushed out without looking back. In the empty building, only Qiqi and I remained. She dragged me to the window. Let's see who's here. Downstairs, a frail figure was being held at gunpoint by my uncle. I recognized Liu Ruyan at once. My heart clenched. My fingertips turned icy cold, trembling slightly. But right now, the more I showed I cared, the greater danger Liu Ruyan would be in. I simply closed my eyes. I divorced her. Whatever happens to her has nothing to do with me. Is that so? Qiqi looked downstairs and said coldly, Uncle Mu, break one of her legs. Bang! After the gunshot, bright red blood seeped from Liu Ruyan's thigh. One of her legs buckled beneath her. She looked up toward Qiqi and me, her face deathly pale as she said, Qiqi, I'm here. Let him go. Qiqi ignored her and said to me, Brother Mu, are you happy now? My whole body went cold. I couldn't say a word. Qiqi spoke again. Uncle Mu, the other leg. I suddenly grabbed her hand and pleaded, trembling. Please. Qiqi's smile abruptly vanished. Her clenched fingers had gone white at the knuckles. She looked at Liu Ruyan with open provocation. The next moment, she lifted my chin and said, kiss me. I was about to pull away, but she continued, do you want Liu Ruyan to die? I froze. Qiqi rubbed her lips hard against mine. Nausea rose from my stomach. Do it, Qiqi ordered coldly. A gunshot suddenly rang out downstairs. My mind went blank. I scrambled to the window, but Liu Ruyan wasn't lying in a pool of blood. It was my uncle. He had been shot in the back and was sprawled on the ground. A squad of armed police officers surged in nearby. They quickly sealed off the entire area. Qiqi's face changed. She suddenly pointed her gun at me. She hadn't expected the police to arrive so quickly. Qiqi handcuffed me to a steel pipe. Hiding in a blind spot from the snipers, she shouted. I have explosives. Send Liu Ruyan in to see me, or I'll die with him. Qiqi, calm down. I'm very calm. In our past life, you were willing to die with Liu Ruyan. Why can't you do the same for me? Qiqi's voice grew increasingly agitated. I could have made everything right again. Why did you have to be reborn too? Give me back the Mubai I knew. A familiar, clear voice came from a few steps away. I'm here. Let him go. Liu Ruyan had come. I cursed at her. You idiot. Why did you come? The blood on her leg had already dried. From the moment she reached the second floor, her eyes stayed fixed tightly on me, afraid something might happen to me. Qiqi dragged me back several steps, her gun aimed at Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan, let's play something different this time. She pointed to a leather jacket nearby and told Liu Ruyan, put on that jacket. Don't put it on. I shouted, but Qiqi laughed excitedly like a madwoman. Brother Mu, in our past life, Liu Ruyan dared to hold you and die with you. What about you? How much do you love her? I've waited a long time for this day. Today, if she doesn't die, then you will. Liu Ruyan, go. I screamed until my voice broke, as if she hadn't heard me. Liu Ruyan quickly put on the jacket. With a beep, the countdown began. I closed my eyes in despair. Qiqi shoved me forward. Mubai, choose one. I stood between them and took one step toward Liu Ruyan. She stepped half a pace back. Brother Mu, don't come closer. There's a bomb. Liu Ruyan warned me solemnly. I stood where I was, afraid to take another step. I wasn't afraid to die, but choosing Liu Ruyan in front of Qiqi now would certainly enrage Qiqi. She might detonate the bomb early. Liu Ruyan backed toward the window. She looked at me, then spoke. Qiqi, I'm sorry about your father. You don't deserve to mention my father. Qiqi, who had been ready to enjoy the show, was suddenly enraged. She took half a step forward. You spoiled heiresses, born with silver spoons in your mouths. Do you have even a shred of sincerity? But your father really did violate safety regulations back then. He wasn't wearing a hard hat, and we paid proper compensation. Liu Ruyan gave a cold, mocking smile. You're nothing but an incompetent fool. My entire body was shaking. This world had gone insane. Liu Ruyan's words struck directly at Qiqi's raised wounds. Did she not want to live? Qiqi pulled out a lighter from somewhere and threw it to the floor. Raging flames erupted instantly. She had already soaked the floor with gasoline. You destroyed my life. Qiqi walked toward me, her eyes bloodshot. Her face, still not fully healed, looked utterly vicious in the firelight. Mubai, why didn't you choose me? If you told me sooner that you didn't like me disfigured, I wouldn't have hurt myself so badly. It was like a bucket of ice water over my head. It really had been her. You're insane. Qiqi gave a bitter laugh. How else could I use your guilt? To learn about Liu Ruyan? Qiqi had lain in wait for years. At last, she tore off that gentle mask and revealed her obsessive, deranged side. Brother Mu, if you'd chosen me, it wouldn't have ended this way. You have no one to blame but yourself. Come to hell with me. She pulled out a remote control. The next instant, a bang rang out, followed by the sharp crash of shattering glass. I couldn't hear anything. The piercing ring in my ears was like a needle, drilling relentlessly into my brain. Suspect shot dead. Body located on the second floor of the abandoned factory. Team B reporting. The detonator is intact. Hostage confirmed safe. Hostage confirmed safe. No other suspicious explosives found on site. The fire is intense. Notify all personnel to evacuate with the hostage immediately. Only then did I turn and see Qiqi lying dead on the floor. The icy air cleared the smoky, dusty smell from my nostrils. Chen Fei's cursing voice rang out. At that moment, it sounded like music from heaven. This is the 21st century, a society ruled by law, and she's still playing with explosives. Thankfully, Chen Fei wasn't so stubborn. He got out and called the police in time. That's how